author Matakupan, and I'm a little writer. Today, I'm going to tell you about writing short stories and fairy tales. So, who am I? For those who don't know me, my full name is Britannia Matakupan, as you know, and then I am in the 6th grade in Sekolah Citra Kasih, Ambon. I love books and reading, and I have started writing since early years, the earliest being 3 or 4 years old, called Chocolate Chipping, about the chocolate chip cookie that lost all his friends because he was mean. But I didn't know how to write back then, so I just drew some pictures and made the story up along the way. Other than that, during the pandemic, I have contributed to 2 anthology books, one of them being Kisah-Kisah dari Bawah Laut Negeri Bahari, which is behind me, over here. Take a look. The other book fall down, but please ignore that. So this is the book, the first one. And then there's Dongeng Imajinatif Anak Indonesia, which fell down. This one. Yeah. Other than that, there's one anthology book, which is currently in printing. You can see it's this one over here. Yes. It's called Dongeng Anak Hebat Indonesia. Yes. Next, why do I like reading and writing? Well, reading for me is creating, reading was like entering into a new world, and I love that a lot, so I thought it would be nice if other people experience that too, but about something that I created, creating a new world and inviting other people to come and enjoy it. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and writing also helps my imagination to grow. Next, who helps or encourages me to start writing? So, podium 1 goes to my parents. My mom, who initiates, and nags me all the time. Nag is keyword. And then there's my dad, who is my ideas man, who helps me with the ideas. We brainstorm a bit, feedback, proofreader. He's the criticism. Yes. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And yes, they always believe in me. That's another one too. That's me, my mom, and my dad. Then, where do I get ideas for my published stories? So, for the first one, Setelah Kau Menemukan Jalan Pulang, this one, which is the first published book ever for me, is I was inspired by a river in my village where I like to play with my friends and the moray eels that live there. So it's about a moray eel who lost his family and got lost in the sea. Next. So the next one, Clara dan Kurcaci Rambut. This one, it's inspired by a struggle with my hair and a personal message for myself to continue taking care of my hair, because Clara here has the same situation, but she doesn't care about her hair, so she gets punished by these little guys, the hair elves. Next. So this is the one that's currently in printing, but I just want to tell you anyways. So it's called Yang Cantik, or The Most Beautiful. It is inspired by my little sister Mika, who is small and very funny. Tell me if you get that Charlie and Lola reference. But she says that for girls you have to wear a gown to look pretty. So this is a story that shows you where real beauty comes from. So, other than that, I'm going to share with you my process of writing. Number 1, I brainstorm ideas. I brainstorm ideas with my mom, my dad. Just throw some ideas there, so if I find one that's interesting, I can just write about that. Sorry for the background noise, my dad is cleaning the place. And then I have to create the outline where I just it's in Bahasa Indonesia kerangka cerita. For those who don't know what an outline is, it's sort of like a planner for your story, so you don't get lost in the middle. And then I have to make goals. I talk about how many pages I have to write in a day, like 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages. So one way or another, the book is going to get done. Then I have to make sure I finish the story, which sounds easy, but it actually isn't, because it takes dedication and some really hard work. Then I have to edit and proofread it myself. Then I have to get approval from my personal editors, which is my mom and dad. They don't tell them. Then where do you find ideas then? You can find ideas anywhere and everywhere. You can take inspiration from other people's story, but don't copy, and no plagiarism, obviously. And then you can also take some from your everyday experience. Just make sure you add some plot twists, so to make it not very boring. It can be incidents from your life, sad ones, happy ones, shocking ones. You can fit it into a story. And then there is from your imagination. You can just let it run free. Or you can take some pictures or movies from the internet. That helps a lot. Or you can try brainstorming with someone, as I mentioned before. And then what message or moral of the story you want to convey. That's called working backwards. So you think of the moral and then you fit it into a story. So here's an outline. For the opening is a beginning or introduction and is usually found in the first chapter or the prologue. And then there's the complication where the problem starts to arise, but no one's really worried about it yet. Then there's the conflict or the climax, the problem and the character clash and something happens, or when the problem starts to get bigger and they're trying to fix it. Then there's the resolution, which is the road to solving or overcoming the problem, which is like they've solved the problem, found the solution to the problem, and the story is almost done. And then for the ending, the writer ties the loose ends, and the message of the story is usually found there. So here's an example of an outline. I'm not going to explain it since my voice hurts, but so basically I gave an example of the outline of one of my stories here. So this is the opening here, and then this is the complication where this happens, and so on and so on. This is just an example of what it's like. And then challenges and strategies. These are the challenges you will face when writing and how to overcome them. This is number 1, the most lethal, writer's block. You don't feel inspired, you don't have any ideas, you don't know how to write. The best way to overcome it is to go back to your outline you made before, or just discussing with someone, or just start writing without any ideas at all. Because once you start writing, you will get some ideas eventually. And if you don't like those ideas, you can always edit. Then there's procrastination, something I suffer with sometimes, where you don't stick to your goal of pages a day and you just, well, the story doesn't get finished at all. And then there's giving up. You give up on the story because, the story is not good, I don't like it. Well, you just have to remember that we're not all perfect, so just finish the story, and once you're done, you can edit out the parts you don't like and replace them with parts you like. But the main thing is to finish the story first. Then there's accepting feedback and correction. As writers, the stories are like our children. We don't want it to be criticized, but the best thing to do is just to accept it. Then you have to be flexible when the story evolves. Like your publisher says, oh, I don't like this type of story because we already have a lot of them. Okay, you have to change the type of story, but maybe you try to keep the same storyline. Then your editor says, I don't like this chapter. it doesn't fit in with the rest of the story. Okay, you have to change the chapter. So being flexible is basically just being able to change your story according to what others say while still maintaining the core of the story. So another one is do not edit as you write. This is the big one because if you're editing while you're writing, your focus will not be on finishing the story, more on the wording of the story itself. You can, like I said before, just finish the story because you can always edit at the end. Okay? Okay. So this is another one of challenges that applies mostly to me, my language challenge. Usually I just write in English and then I transfer to Bahasa Indonesia at the end. But I'm proud to say that for the latest one, Yang Tercantik, which is still in printing, I wrote it immediately in Bahasa Indonesia and I'm still very pleased with myself about that. Okay, so here's some writings, do's and don'ts. Be careful with these when you're writing. Have minimal typos because that just makes your document look miserable and your publishers or editors will not like that at all. Then you have to have good sentence structure, very minimum grammatical error. This comes from my parents. I do not like grammatical error. I mean, it's okay 1 or 2 times, but try not to make the same mistakes again and again. And then you have to have suitable word choice. Makes the sentence clearer, not as awkward, and more natural. And then there's format and styling of documents. Sometimes your publisher wants you to write in a specific way. For example, for every paragraph you have to do 2 enters instead of 1. Or you have to write only in Times New Roman. Or you have to write with only size 12. But you have to follow what they say. So there's a higher chance of your book being published. So, how to write your own stories. So you have to find ideas. What happens in the story? What happens to the character? What does the character want? What's stopping the character from getting it? What message you want to convey? Ask yourself questions like these and you will get better at developing the outline of the storyline. Okay, then, speaking of outlines, after that you have to think or draft a simple outline in your mind or on paper. I prefer on paper, so it will not be forgotten. Describe the person and situation, what happened, incidents, why it happened, how it happened, who made it happen, who, what, where, and why, and how is it resolved. Then start writing. Do not edit as you write. Again, I want to say it's a problem lots of people have. Just write and let your ideas flow. So, I have a lot more to talk about, but I don't have enough time. Also, I've been rehearsing this all day, so my voice is not competing. So I'm just going to say writing is a process, and the ideas to a story, that's what happens. Ideas to a story, creating character and setting. So just keep learning and keep evolving. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have for you today. And if you're interested, you can visit me on my blog where I do book reviews, post my poems, post some of my stories. Yes, lots of things happen there. But anyways, that's it. Goodbye.